Hello fellow Helldivers, Thorin here, and there's been some talk about a new collaboration, and while Arrowhead has confirmed they are working on a new one, there's an unlikely one that was brought up, and well, we're going to debunk that and go over what is likely going to be the next one, along with some new factions. We're going to go over all that, but without further ado, let's jump into today's news. So, ever since Arrowhead decided to do the collaboration with Killzone, which by the way I thought was absolutely fantastic, players have been wondering what exactly is going to be going on in the future for collaborations with Helldivers, and there's a lot of information that's going out that we're going to talk about today that's just kind of confusing on how that came to be a point, but there is actually some stuff that the developers themselves have told us, such as the fact that there was a post the other day where a Reddit user showed where they wanted to go see crossovers and where would we draw the line as a community, showing a bunch of different ones such as Killzone, Starship, Halo, Warhammer, Halo Star Wars, Doom, Warhammer 40k, Turtles, and for some reason Snoop Dogg at the end. And well, Johan Peterstedt, the CEO of Arrowhead, well, former CEO now, he's the creative director, actually went ahead and did his own line, and he crossed it right around the time before Halo popped up, at least with the Master Chief armor, showing the Starship Troopers, Halo ODST, and the Warhammer 40k armor to the left is very viable. And then he actually gave us the core tenets on why and what they will do crossovers on in the future. The reason is they want to avoid IP dilution, only choosing IPs that are appropriate for Helldivers, as close to a one-for-one match as possible, and the crossover lore would become canon for Helldivers 2, immersion breaks for other players, limit the rate of collaborations too much will dilute, and be conservative and stingent as crossovers compound. They want to be as authentic as they can, trying to do right by the source IP and its fans, strive to modify as little as possible from the original inspiration, and seek to become experts of the source material, and then go ahead and review it when it's done. And well, in terms of what we can be expecting next, it's most likely going to be something Warhammer related, as Iron Sights has shown us back on February 4th that the chain sword, which is, iconic for the Warhammer universe, is in the game files as an upcoming melee weapon, which is, just phenomenal. They've also gone ahead in interviews and talked about which ones could be upcoming. Johan said it hasn't been decided yet. I also think IPs like Warhammer are good, so Warhammer, again, mentioned right there. Sham says also he thinks Alien would be a pretty good theme, so on and so forth. In fact, they're already working on the new collabs. The dev actually said we're in the stages of something very new, a future crossover event. And once again, due to the fact that the chain sword was found in the game files, it seems like Warhammer. That hasn't stopped some really weird articles getting posted, such as this one by Game Rant by saying how Helldivers 2 can introduce Dead Space's necromorphs as the fourth faction. And well, I'm going to be perfectly blunt, I don't even know how this article got made. It completely ignores the core tenet that Johan laid out, that whatever happens in the crossovers would become canon to Helldivers, and I just don't see them bringing in an IP from an EA made game, which I don't even think they would play ball, especially since they stopped making Dead Space remasters, which by the way is an absolute travesty, over to as an enemy faction. The article is pretty interesting. It says Dead Space franchise could go beyond just armor and weapons if the necromorphs were to be brought in as new enemies to face. It could give the game something that it has been missing, even with all the terrifying enemies it has, an element of horror, which, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think these guys have fought the automatons in some of their tank units, because that is actually horrifying. So I don't think anything where we see a new faction arise from a different game is ever going to be something that pops in. It just doesn't fit. They're kind of do more so like armor that goes with the current Helldiver setup that matches the in-game thematic. That being said, there is going to be probably a fourth faction arising very soon, and we're going to go ahead and cover that a little bit. In case you guys didn't know, there are a ton of factions right now within Super Earth. There is the Ministry of Humanity, Ministry of Prosperity, Ministry of Expansion, Ministry of Unity, Ministry of Science, and Ministry of Intelligence, but no one really needs that, Ministry of Truth, and of course, the Ministry of Defense. Now, all those actually have specific mission and goals found in the game files. For instance, the Ministry of Science is constantly pushing Super Earth technology forward and ensures our superiority over our enemies. As we know, we are going to be getting new types of weapons and a science officer. It makes sense that we're going to see this faction pop up pretty soon. Of course, the Ministry of Defense is responsible for the defense of Super Earth against external threats. It manages the Super Earth armed forces, which we'll probably see when that new mansion comes in with the President files and we have to defend Super Earth itself. The Ministry of Unity ensures all of mankind is united as one and protects us from internal threats such as deviant behavior and expression of dangerous ideas. Fun enough, there is a rebel faction found in the NPC files, so it does look like Ministry of Unity is going to have some work to do, as that enemy faction will be coming in the near future. Of course, the Ministry of Expansion tirelessly works to increase Super Earth's reach and secure vital resources for our society to thrive, and the Ministry of Truth is responsible for keeping all citizens well informed and mentally equipped to withstand our enemies' vile propaganda. And if you disagree with that, well, you need to go see your nearest democracy officer, because they'd like to have a word with you. However, it's not just Super Earth that has a plethora of factions that are going to be coming into the game in the very near future. When we look at the galactic map, we notice that currently it is divided in such a way that there is going to be room for 2 more factions, meaning that there will be something coming after the illuminate. But the question is, well, what is it going to be? And it appears that there is a person or a architect, if you will, that is running the game behind the scenes and could be actually be responsible for also a 4th faction as well, at least according to some current theories. One that I liked by Asunder is that he's controlling all of them. This is all a giant war against Super Earth. Now, the first thing to go over is that there are a lot of people that are hoping we get rebels in the game, and it's very possible that that is an actual option, because Ironsight's pointed out that in the files right now, there is an NPC type named rebels. And what's important to know is that cyborgs in the original Helldivers game were the rebels, and they were a product of Super Earth. Ironsight's broke down pretty easily what's going on with the rebel faction, because there is a gentleman called the Architect, as we mentioned, that seems to be the creator of the bots. It is going to be fairly far away, and it was possibly sourced from the second group of cyborg researchers that fled from Cyberstan during the 100-year raid. These researchers then formed the Automaton Development Group. However, it's unknown right now if the Architect is even human, and file strings speculate it being an entirely new alien race, though that is speculated by the NPCs that are also in the game. We've actually seen Science Officers NPCs that we went over in a video the other day. They look to be part of an ongoing crew progression system that would be really cool coming in the near future. There's also this other really cool transmission, and it will give you a little bit more lore and insight and go into a little bit further of what Ironsight is actually talking about into the cyborg menace.
History matters. After the First Galactic War, Super Earth kindly allowed the cyborg secessionists to live, giving them stable work deep within the mines of Cyberstan. But, twisted by their implants, the cyborgs sought their revenge by creating the Automaton Legion.
So it's very clear that the cyborgs went to Cyberstan, created the automatons to fight us, but that the Architect might actually be one of those units, and he also seems like he could be involved in the evolution of the bugs in some capacity. As Ironsight says, one of the NPCs says the Architect is involved with the evolution of bugs in some ways. I mean, that's a pretty clear-cut thing going on right now. So while I do think it is possible there's going to be a rebel faction that could be the 4th one, I like the idea that it's going to be an entirely new race. Symbiotes would be very cool, and that the rebels will be more of a side faction slash mini faction that pops up from time to time. It doesn't make sense to really have us fight humans when there are so much more deadly threats, although when we look at how we're doing in the war, we're probably the most deadly. We're gonna go ahead and jump into some community clips now. Don't forget to submit your own to me at Thorn Smash on Twitter, but without further ado, let's roll it. Let me know down below, what do you guys think about a Warhammer crossover, and how do you feel about new factions, and what do you think about Dead Space, or do you think that's just a bunch of, baloney? Also, don't forget to check out this video right here where I cover more news and information on Helldivers 2 on the daily, and until next time everyone, thanks for stopping by. Keep spreading managed democracy.